Welcome to the 49th episode of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we were just talking about earlier this morning, we are rapidly approaching 1 year of Marked Out Radio. How does that feel?
Honestly, it kind of feels like a fever dream.
Fever dream? That's pretty dramatic.
I mean, it's hard to believe. It feels like a year that you were trying to convince me to do it, and it doesn't feel that long that we've been doing it. But I mean, I guess time flies when you're having fun and, raising awareness and doing all the crazy stuff we've done this year.
Yeah, that's been a little bit crazy. So, and yeah, I mean, I was looking over the show notes, and there's quite a long list of things that happened. There's a lot of news going on in the con world and the autograph world, and also there were a lot of things that happened in the past week. Lots and lots of reports. So I guess we'll start with the news. So we've been following the lineup for Steel City Con pretty closely now that I guess it's been determined I'll be able to go, which is kind of cool. So we've been really, really, really hoping for some cool ads. We got our hopes up when we saw the two kids from Jurassic Park added, that maybe that would signal a Jurassic Park reunion of some kind. And how are the ads been working for you lately with Steel City?
They have completely hit a brick wall to the point you would think that they had Tiger Woods driving for them right now. It's not working well for me. I feel like the Woodmo from Marked Out days past, just complaining about ads, but now that this show is on our radar realistically, I'm not excited with what they've been adding.
So yeah, the two most recent ads were Candace Cameron and Dave Coulier, so it is clear that they're shooting for kind of a Full House reunion. And I mean, look, they're not going to get Stamos. That Bob Saget is dead. That the Olsen twins are not doing cons. So, and I don't think Lori Laughlin's doing cons. So what kind of Full House reunion are you going to get?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't need Stamos. If they added Stamos, I would not complain because it would be a great ad. Lori Laughlin I need, so I'd be happy with her. And otherwise, I mean, I loved Full House as a kid. I'm happy that Dave is doing well after his cancer battle. I'm happy he's up to being able to attend a convention. But on a selfish level, I have zero desire or need for an incomplete Full House reunion. I don't want it. I'm not excited for it. And I just selfishly look at that as wasted spots that could have gone to people that would make this 9-hour drive or whatever it is, 7.5, a little more palatable, since it's now a possibility that we can go.
To me, what's disconcerting about it is that when they announced, look, you want to announce these two, fine, whatever, I don't care. But they announced them as headline guests. And look, you might be a fan of Candace Cameron or Dave Coulier, God bless. By no reasonable standard are they what we would consider headline guests at a con the size of Steel City.
Yeah, they already have a VIP for Candace Cameron. I don't see her as that level of a name. I saw her line at 90s Con, which, I mean, let's be honest, 90s Con is the wheelhouse for people like that, because that's you get all the nostalgia junkies that want to meet those people.
The Hallmark movie people. Yeah.
And her line wasn't that out of hand. It was the usual cue that they have at those shows. It was constantly active, constantly packed. But I mean, you could get on it. You could get to her table. She wasn't a VIP name at Steel City, where VIP names in the past have been mega A-list type talent. I just don't get it. But I mean, maybe her draw has jumped in the last couple of years that I haven't seen.
I think they buying into their own hype a little bit. They're first time guests for this show, and so there's a I guess a little bit of a pent up demand. But yeah, that it's disappointing. When you're thinking I in my head, maybe I'm being naive, but here I'm thinking we're gonna get a headliner like a Sam Neill or a Laura Dern, and we're looking at a Candace Cameron and Dave Coulier, and that's listen.
I would have settled for, and saying settled sounds crazy, but I would have settled for Jeff Goldblum, who I personally have, but I mean, that would be awesome. That would have fit the kids. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was not expecting Jurassic Park kids to segue into, 68% complete Full House reunion, but whatever.
I mean, 68% is not even close to right. The number of people who just are unavailable, completely unavailable. But
well, no, they're
yeah,
going to get Scott Winger. They'll get Kimmy. I get that still 68%, but I mean, it's they'll have a decent assortment for people in Pittsburgh that
yeah.
never met any of these guys.
It's just a bummer for me because I mean the show is a must. I must attend it. I must, but for the Jurassic Park kids and also for Amy Smart, who's been on my short list for 10 years now. And so this is a need, but it's just a bummer that well maybe we're not really we're not giving them due credit. Give them a month. And then by the beginning of July, if it hasn't improved much, then we can start really complaining.
That's fair. And if you're locking into this, which I wasn't sure you were this committed, I mean, I guess I will, on the air in front of all of our listeners, I will lock in as well. Because, I mean, you're not going to make this trip alone. And I'm not going to, my FOMO is going to, I'm not going to even, attempt to say I'm going to sit this one out. So
no,
I'd go for the kids.
The people who I talk to at cons, they know whenever people ask me, who are your top wants for cons, Amy Smart is always the top of the list. And it's always been baffling to me why she doesn't do them when she hadn't done them before. She's perfect for it because she has some kind of other business. She's not an actor anymore. She has some kind of other business that she does. I forget what it is, jewelry or yoga, it's something like that. It's some kind of someone who parlays their attractiveness and also connections to run a business. That's what she does. So they think a perfect opportunity to do cons. So I'm very, very happy that she's finally wised up and is doing them. Once we commit to this con and Amy Smart cancels, I'm going to be beside myself.
So what you're saying is you are putting your money where your mouth is, and you are willing to travel for a top want.
Yes, absolutely.
Go on.
There are certain people who I'm pretty open about this. Certain people who I have traveled for people more than most, I think. And there are some people who really go nuts and go traveling for whatever. But I went to LA when they had Liger that time. Now, of course, I met him 100 times after that. But I went to LA for Liger. I went to San Francisco for the Kids in the Hall reunion at San Francisco Sketch Fest. I went to Chicago for Toshiaki Kawada from All Japan. I went to Florida, Tampa for Undertaker back when that signing was done. I've been willing to travel. Of course, Columbus for Arnold. We still haven't told that story here, but I'm willing to travel. I'm down. I'm game for that. It just has to be someone that I really care about for a particular reason. So I know for most people are not traveling for Amy Smart, but
no.
I have a few high priority items. She's in two of my favorite things of all time, Interstate 60 and Starship Troopers, and that's enough for me. And I would travel for James Marsden too for Interstate 60 just to finish it off, because those are pretty much the last two I need name wise, because we got Gary. I went to the city for Gary Oldman that time for Interstate 62, right? So I'm willing. It's just a matter of getting these people out.
And honestly, I know you've traveled before. I was simply using that as a clever way to segue into our second piece of news.
Yes. Oh, that's right, because you're talking about traveling. So you handle this one because you were working behind the scenes to verify this was all true. So a little bit of original news reportage here from you.
Yes, breaking news. Last week there was a bit of news on the ticker that we didn't cover because I wanted a chance to speak to Tom Unger of Big Event New York before I ran it. And just to give you guys some backstory and context, I guess at this point, since time really does fly, it was probably 2 weeks, 10 days, something like that ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. Tom posted, the day before he posted that he had a new exclusive client, and it's Brad Garrett of I Love Raymond fame, of Ratatouille.
Everybody loves Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond.
What did I say?
I love Raymond.
I do love Raymond, but yes, there. Okay. Everybody loves Raymond. So he announced Brad Garrett. That was very cool. Excited about that. Then I think it was a day or two later, he made another announcement, and he announced Cosmo Kramer as an exclusive client, and he had a picture of Michael Richards as Kramer. And I know most of the people, myself included, thought it was sort of a joke because, he didn't say the actor's actual name. I think we all sort of know Michael's eccentricities. He's not really one that I don't think any of us really expected to do cons. So I figured it was some sort of an inside joke, a rib, if you will, that Tom was playing on everyone, someone in particular, and it would just be deleted and wouldn't be true. But over a week went by, and the post was still up on his page. So
and there were a lot of people. You look at that post, a lot of people were confused. People thought he was referring to like the person who was the inspiration for Cosmo Kramer. There were lots of
a lot of
different
confusion.
ideas about this.
So I hit up Tom and I said, just for like podcast coverage, is this a legitimate piece of news? Is this actually Michael Richards, or is this like a joke? And he responded that it is real and it is spectacular news. They did apparently sign Michael Richards to an exclusive talent agreement, as they do with other talent. He is doing conventions, Michael Richards, that is. He wants to go by for like announcements. I don't know about all announcements, just this initial announcement, but he wanted to go by Cosmo Kramer instead of Michael Richards, which I mean is kind of fascinating. I mean, it's not unprecedented. Pee-wee did his appearances as Pee-wee. So, I mean, this is, this wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. We also know Michael's history. I could see him having this belief that Michael Richards is canceled, Michael Richards is tainted, but Cosmo Kramer is beloved. And I guess on some level that's true, but it's fascinating. And then the one bit of news that I can't really, it's not mine to announce, but I will throw it out there. There is apparently an appearance that is basically locked in. And when I made my little segue from you traveling for Amy Smart, I am planning to travel for this because Michael Richards is a top one. And I don't expect him to do a ton of these. By a ton, I would expect him to do 2 because I know his price isn't low. And I think the odds of him coming out of a weekend doing this and being happy about what he had just lived is probably not very high.
But maybe he'll get bit by the Randy Quaid bug,
It's possible. But how do you? Obviously, I can't really ask you if you would travel for it because you would have to you would die. It's hard without divulging where it is. Like, we're not going to talk about that. But are you as excited about Michael Richards as I am?
I mean, I think it's neat. Am I that excited? I mean, I never started a Seinfeld collection. I don't have any. I have Wayne Knight, but I got Wayne Knight from Jurassic Park, not from Seinfeld. So no, I don't know how. I don't even know how to explain this. I don't think I would travel. I do think it's very cool, and certainly if it was a local situation, I would get him. But I don't like him enough to travel.
I hear you. I have, just for my Seinfeld history, for all the very interested listeners out there, I got Jerry through some determination and insanity and just, persevere. I completely persevered. I got several valid shots of him looking into my camera. Are they spectacular? No, but they count, damn it, by the marked out rule book. I got a great shot with Julia, and I have a nice street selfie with Jason. So he's the last one I need. Now my wheels are turning about, do I hop on Rack or another trusted community and try to pick up like an 11 by 14 signed by the 3 of them, which honestly, the prices on those are not crazy because Jerry signs so much. Honestly, they're all pretty free signers.
Yeah.
So probably
Michael's actually probably the hardest one, right?
Exactly. So I want to go with that in hand to complete it. I love Seinfeld enough that's something I'm considering. I got to see if I could get one done for if I could get one for 400, 11 by 14, triple signed. I'm not even sure what the value is like at this point. I got to do some research.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. I finding one that's good of all 3 is going to be tough in this environment.
Well, that's the difference. Your good and my good are different. Honestly, if Jerry's signature looks like it's signed with deer blood or something, I mean, I'd probably be okay with it if I was confident in its authenticity and the price was to my liking. You would need it perfectly placed, and for you, this would be a much more challenging and costly endeavor. For me, I'd be happy with a lot less than you would be happy with.
Probably true. But still, I mean, that's crazy news, man. That Michael Richards, who didn't even do a book tour as you had hoped and even predicted, is going to instead do cons. I mean, I guess there's a logic to it because I think there's a lot more, at least there's a lot more short term money for these guys in cons than there is in book tours. Book tour is more of a long term investment in their future.
I understand it. And let's be completely honest. If there was one guy in this world that was going to get it done, it's Tom Unger. Like, this is what he does. He gets people with price tags that other vendors are scared off by, and he makes it work. He makes it happen. That's what he does. So, I mean, I'm not surprised it's him. I'm just surprised that Michael even had a number that this could get accomplished at. But props to the big event team. That's huge.
Yeah, it's big. Another interesting, and again, this speaks to what we were just talking about book tours and signings and whatnot, is that R.L. Stine has started the con circuit. That's interesting for me.
Listen, I'm actually a little sad about this. To give context to where this is happening, this what's the show called? Undiscovered
Realm?
Undiscovered Realm, correct. Undiscovered Realm in, was it White Plains, I think?
It's White Plains, yeah.
Yes, White Plains. That's fine. I would have made the trip. He's VIP only. The ticket's around, what, $180, I think?
Something in that ballpark, yeah.
Yeah. You said it was high. I agree with you. But again, as a 90s kid, late 80s, 90s growing up, I remember going to the bookstore every time the Goosebump would be released. I have them all. It was huge for me. It's probably, if I was going to really be honest, it's probably a building block on my fandom of horror that I have right now. So I should probably go and kick him in the shins for all the money I've spent as a result of that obsession. But I would 100%, I'd make the trip, I would do it. But the issue is, it is the Sunday of Fanatics Fest in the middle of the day. So there's zero shot. So I have to hope
it's just not possible with the money that's been sunk into Fanatics.
So I have to hope that he does this type. I mean, no disrespect to Undiscovered Realm, but I mean, this is not Steel City here. This is a pretty average con. I think average is probably being kind. I think it's probably below average con as far as size. So if they're able to facilitate this, I would like to think he would do a similar thing in Rhode Island, in NYCC at some point. So, hopefully this is a sign of things to come.
What's interesting about this for me is that I don't need R.L. Stine. I got R.L. Stine at New York Comic Con for free. He has appeared many times at NYCC in one of those scenarios where if you wait in line as an author, you buy something from Barnes and Noble. I don't even think I had to buy something from Barnes and Noble. I really don't. But if you did, it would be something. It was so low that it was of no consequence, that it was free. And so that was the context. I have really sick posters of the Goosebumps covers signed by R.L. Stine. And what's interesting about this appearance is the funny rules that are attached to it as well. So one of the rules is that R.L. Stine will only sign autographs in either black Sharpie or green Deco paint pen. And basically he's going to have two pens at his table, one for Funko Pops and one for everything else. And I just think that's pretty funny. It's becoming apparent that, well, what he's really doing here is trying to capitalize on and make money on the fact that there is a significantly greater demand for him to sign non-books at this point than there is for him to sign books. You can go on eBay and buy signed R.L. Stine Goosebumps books for $20. They're not rare. They're not valuable. He's signed 1 million. He's signed 1 million of them in the past. He's done signings all the time, and yet the new Goosebumps Funko Pops with R.L. Stine signatures are trading quite high, and so he wants to get a little taste. That's kind of funny, I think. Someone who's always done signings for his stuff is now getting in on the Funko action, which is what this is.
Yeah, it's all about the Funkos. But here's the thing. I'm on the page right now. It says, due to time constraints, black Sharpie or green paint marker only. No personalizations or quotes. He doesn't specify unless you read it somewhere else. I don't see a specification that it would be Deco versus anything else. Imagine if he's got a green Posca on the table, like Zach Linder would be happy. But
I could have sworn I saw a photo of the pen somewhere, and it was that lime green deco. I could
it
be
wouldn't shock
imagining it.
me. I mean, if I was going to pick the pen he used, that would be the one. And we know that those the fine decos, he could sign, a million autographs, and that sucker's going to still have a little bit of juice in it. So that would be the perfect pen. But I just want to be clear for those that really care about pens. It is not necessarily clear in which type of pen he will use.
No, that is fair. Sound like I really thought I saw a picture. I could have sworn I did.
I'm sure you're right. The
past 2 weeks has been such a blur that I could have just imagined it. But when I read it, it's gonna be a green paint pen of some kind.
Yeah, and it's not gonna be your green paint pen. They're making it clear he's not taking a pen from anyone. It's gonna be the two he has, depending on what you're having signed. And if that pen dies and he doesn't have a replacement, well, I don't know. Good luck. Try to be earlier in the line, I suppose.
Well, I think what it really shows is an attention to what exactly the demand is for him. They're not stupid here. They know it's going to be the Funkos that are in demand at this signing.
So if he did a similar event like this somewhere that we were attending, would you do the upgrade ticket to get some Funkos done?
No, because I'm not buying anymore.
I was trying to catch you catch you in an inconsistency, but
I
turned over a new leaf.
Yeah, I right now I'm not feeling the desire to buy. I have items that are partially complete or unsigned, and those some of them I have them. If I deem it worthwhile even to try, I'll get them signed, and for other of them I'll sell or throw away or when I give away as needed. But yeah, I'm not buying new Funkos. I'm not doing that.
And one more bit of just conversation about this Undiscovered Realm Comic-Con. As you guys know, I am going to Fanatics Friday. I'm going to Fanatics Sunday. And then there is Undiscovered Realm Saturday, which this does not help me with R.L. Stine since he's Sunday only. But it just so happens that Saturday night in the early evening, late afternoon, I have a family party in the Bronx. And I ran the math from there to the show is about 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm half considering what we're going for is a surprise party. So I'm half considering, hopefully this relative doesn't listen to Marked Out Radio. I just blew the surprise. But I'm half considering surprising my wife with a detour to Undiscovered Realm to get Mark Pellegrino from Supernatural. I have to decide how angry she'd be at this little deviation. But
you know the rule. It's much easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So
yes. So I think there may be a second surprise on that Saturday. Stay tuned.
Oh my God. So what else do we have on this list? There was any more? Oh yeah. Eternal Con is back on Long Island. They took a little bit of a hiatus. You had heard through the grapevine that show was done and not coming back, right?
Yeah, I definitely heard that. I won't say any more to expose anyone that said that to me, but it looked like that. I mean, I think Stevie Wonder could have seen that writing on the wall. The usual time of year it happens sort of came or was fast approaching. There was no announcement. There wasn't even a confirmed date. So it seemed that old Eternal Con, which was a Long Island staple for a couple of years now.
Many years,
had died. But listen, it rose. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say quite like a phoenix, because I mean it's definitely it's been taking Ozempic, I think. It's a leaner con than it left us last time as. The names are not really as flashy, but I'm not gonna lie, they kind of work for me.
Bunch of Sopranos names, bunch of really fun Sopranos names. So obviously none of the top people, but there's a few of the lower end Sopranos names who some of them are around frequently. Like Robert Funaro is around frequently, or Dan Grimaldi is around frequently. But there's a few other ones who aren't around as frequently
Joe Ganascoli. Yeah, Joe Ganascoli, who plays Vito. Most people really, really dislike that season. I'm not trying to take Sharippa and Imperioli's job of breaking down Sopranos here, but that was a season that a lot of people I know didn't love. I love all Sopranos, so I was fine with all of it. But he was a major character in that moment in time. There was a lot of stuff revolving around him. And up until now, he has not done a con, at least that I've noticed. He does these weird little things where he'll be at like an Italian restaurant down in your neck of the woods for like 6 hours. And he cooks and does all this stuff. And I never go because it's like to go sitting around in some Italian restaurant for 4 hours waiting for him to emerge from the kitchen or whatever. Just it never seemed fun, or it probably wasn't nearly as challenging as I was making it out to be. But when things are sort of when they're not concrete in how they're going to be carried out as a meet and greet, I usually avoid it because I just don't want to waste my time. But he will be here, and I also never got Grimaldi or Finaro. So honestly, I'll get all three.
Now you just needed to add Jackie Jr.
Yeah, what the hell happened to Jackie Jr.? Why wouldn't he be here?
He might. This, who knows? But
are
you gonna get Vito to sign like a leather getup?
I mean, this all kind of goes back to our gear conversation from last night. I mean, only if it's screen worn.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so like that's all the con news. So now there's like kind of the industry news. This is an interesting one because we have not really talked about the changes in policy at Epic Photographs since they were purchased by Leap Events a while back. But I mean, we ran into a little bit of a quirk with NYCC, and I had a quirk with my photo ops that I kind of mentioned on the air of when they announced the time for the John Cena stuff, and I had
the issue at Rhode Island, but like I knew that was me sort of flying too close to the sun. Like what used to work before this change was honestly completely abusive of like the rules, and it was crazy that you would just get a refund basically on command. But it always worked, and then I found out almost the hard way. I fought for my money back, but it was a big ordeal. So yeah, go on. What was this change you're referring to?
All right, so an interesting thing that happened. So last week we had mentioned that there were a couple of last second ads at a Fanatic Fest, and one of them was Bianca Belair on Sunday. And so I bought a photo op of Bianca Belair. I didn't get her last year, and I figured, what the heck? Let me just do it. And I got an email a couple days ago that they were switching her from Sunday to Saturday.
I guess a better day at the 40/40 Club.
And that you could email them for the way they do it. They do it. You can like exchange automatically from one ticket to another on their website. And you could email them for a refund. So it said the email said like you can go to this link to exchange your ticket, or you can have to contact us for a refund, which I hate because years ago, first of all, before Epic was purchased by Leap, when someone canceled, they would automatically refund you, and then it would actually be incumbent on you to rebuy at a different time.
That's how it should be.
I think that's an exceedingly ethical practice to do that. If there's a change in schedule, you automatically refund, and it's incumbent on the other person to rebuy. Yeah, that's fair.
Here's how I like it to go. I like personally when you get your refund email before the socials even announce the cancellation.
Agreed. Like and it used to be that way for Epic. Used to be that way. That's how we knew cancellations were going to happen. Because exactly. You get your refund from Epic.
That's how it should be.
Right. I agree. And so, but Leap, scummy, not the same. And so they send it, and the link allows you to change your day from Sunday to Saturday. That's all it does. And then you have to email them to cancel, right? So when you email Epic/Leap, you get an automated response that says, you get a ticket, a support ticket. So right away, it's annoying, And so what was remarkable was my request was very straightforward. Please refund my purchase for the Bianca Belair photo op ticket. It was a 1-sentence request. That's it. They responded not with an acknowledgement of cancellation. They responded with basically a sales pitch that tried to convince me to switch my ticket to Saturday. So now again, they sent an email. They sent an email saying I could either switch or cancel or refund if I email. Then I email, and they email me again trying to get me to switch days. Now, this is a sales tactic because they know that that there are certain people who will just forget. It'll slip through the cracks. They won't see their email, and then the date will pass, and they won't get their refund. Right? It's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
it's really a scummy thing to do, to force me to email multiple times when it's entirely their fault. Entirely their fault. And I'm not saying, or it's a reality of things that happen. People's schedules change and whatnot. But it is totally ridiculous for me to have to send 2 emails to get that ticket refunded. Now, to their credit, I received my email. I replied instantly saying, please cancel the ticket and give me a refund. And then within an hour or so, I got confirmation that they were going to cancel and refund my money. But having to double email is a really, really, really duplicitous, shady business practice. It's bad, man. Since Epic went over to Leap, the quality of their business practices has really declined.
It's exactly what you said it was. They know that if they make you have to do this double process, there's going to be a couple of people, maybe more than a couple of people, that are just not going to respond. They're going to think they responded. It's going to get lost in the email. And I guarantee there's going to be several $100s that this company holds on to that someone just never follows up. That's the reality of the situation. It will happen. It is absolutely shady. It should not happen. It should be automatically refunded. It's that simple. It should be automatically refunded. If you want to buy for Saturday, if you want to buy another photo op with someone that's still available, that's on you, but you shouldn't have to actually work twice as hard or hard at all to get a refund for a cancellation.
The way Epic used to do it, if it was a group op and one person in the group canceled, they would refund the whole ticket and have you rebuy the new op. They wouldn't even do like a partial refund. I think it was an excellent customer service practice that is just completely gone now.
I mean, the only caveat I'll throw out there is Fanatics Fest in 2025 is like a very big ticket item. It's hard to get in. Things sell out quickly. Like imagine, for example, Cody Rhodes was Sunday was changed to Saturday. If you automatically refunded everyone because of the change to Saturday, and then it sold out in an hour because it was put back on sale, you'd probably have a ton of people that were outraged because they'd lose their ticket when they.
So in that case, you do a thing. You give people 48 hours to exchange the tickets, after which they will be refunded. Done. Refunded automatically. I should never have to email you for a refund. No. Never.
So I'm saying I understand maybe for Fanatics in 2025, you don't just insta-refund. I understand maybe that. But like you said, they should be initiating contact. They should be giving you a 48-hour grace period. And then after that, refunds are automatic. Like you should not have to actually make a move to get your money back.
It's very disappointing. It's what continues to be the case is that the people you give your money to in this hobby, it's becoming more and more and more and more challenging to only support people who engage in excellent business practices. I'm really, really not happy about it. And again, I got my money back. It doesn't whatever. This is the point, but I know there are people who won't get their money back for this, and that sucks. And I'm frustrated by it.
And the reality is, which they know, are you going to buy another photo op from Epic Leap? Of course. That's
the only game in town.
Yeah. So they could literally come and shit on your front porch, and you would have to just sort of clean it up and keep going because there's no other option, and they know that, and that's the nature of monopoly and just business, that you lose the options and you end up with people that just sort of take advantage of the consumer.
Definitely what's happening here, like clear as day. In other news, and this is something that we had talked about, and we talked about this a little bit on the air, but mostly it was off the air. One of the areas that we really have been thinking about getting into, and one of the areas we think is underserved by the appearance market and by the private signings market, is musicians, bands, musicians. If you have some knowledge of, obviously we're not talking about our A tier or even B tier musicians, but C tier and below, if you have any knowledge of what they make for an hour show or a 2-hour show, and all the costs that are associated with that, it's very clear that they will be making more money doing signings, and signings is definitely a part of their business calculus, and yet so few have been. And it's one of those things where I have made many attempts and many overtures, as has Dana, at reaching out to people who we think the economics would work for a signing, and we've joked that it's not like we've gotten no's as answers. Have you even gotten a single reply?
Personally, I've gotten 0 replies, and this is not just all cold messages. My father-in-law knows people in hip-hop. He's reached out on our behalf, and we've still gotten sort of wishy-washy, lukewarm, not right now type answers. We've just not been successful at getting these musical acts to do anything public or private,
or even respond to these things. Now, obviously, we don't go to the. I mean, I've gone to appearance managers. There was one group I knew exactly what they were getting paid for an appearance, right? For a show. Okay. I offered to match that fee to do a 1-hour signing before the show, knowing that I could make money off of that. And their manager and I emailed the manager and the appearance agent, and I never received a reply. So let's just throw a number out there. Okay, let's just say they were being paid. The band was being paid $10,000 to do a show. The show is 90 minutes, right, of actual work performing. I offered them $10,000 for the hour before the show to do a private signing with no fans, and I never received a reply. That's what it's like working with music right now. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because if you are on a Facebook at all, if you're a member of Autograph Facebook groups, what you'll notice is that for the amount of, and I'm assuming this is true for you, we haven't even talked about it. The amount of ads, the amount of autograph related ads that I get on Facebook is shocking.
Yeah, that's all I see.
That's all I see. It's nonstop autograph ads. And there's a company by the name of Premier Collectibles, and they do a lot of like contracted book signings. That's what their bread and butter is. And what I've noticed though is they have also started to do signings with musicians. So they have they had a signing with Avril Lavigne, and they're doing a second one where she's signing either albums or Funko Pops. So it's no mail-ins. You buy either their Funko Pop or an album that they provide. And they offer like different color markers for different prices. Did I show you that?
You told me about it. I don't think you actually sent me the link.
So it's like, oh, she'll sign it in pink normally, and they'll sign whatever, but she's only going to sign, I'm making this up, 100 in silver. They do it like that. And they charge you more money for it, which I think is, I mean, look, I love that kind of thing, and God bless that kind of hustle, because I
respect that.
Yeah, that's whatever. That kind of thing's easy money. But now so the other day I was on Facebook again being served ads. By the way, I saw a document, like a study recently that said that approximately 70% of the content you consume on the internet is paid advertisement, but you can only properly identify somewhere between 35 and 40% of it as paid advertisement. Isn't that wild?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting study, and I believe it. But anyway, I got another ad from Premier Collectibles, and they are now doing a signing with the band Simple Plan, that Canadian band. They had a bunch of hits in the early 2000s. Again, I would say they're probably a high C to low B tier. I suspect the way they signed them was they are opening for Avril Lavigne on her tour, and they had been as well. So obviously, through the same management or booking agent or whatever. But it's the same deal now, where they're signing records, and you're buying their signed records not as a we're signing this because a new album is coming out and we're promoting it, but they're actually doing it as an autograph signing fee thing, which is new for musicians. I mean, once in a while you'll see some musicians do this, but if Premier Collectibles they started with Avril, they're doing Simple Plan. How much you want to bet within a few months we're going to see more bands being having records go through Simple Plan through Premier like this?
I think if these are successful, absolutely. I feel like Avril would be successful at the very least.
I mean, they're very expensive what they're charging. But I mean, she had a sold out tour still, which blows me away. She sold out Jones Beach. So that means she's making big money per show. So I imagine for the signing, it has to be at least My guess would be somewhere in the realm of 50 to 100K is what they guaranteed her for it. It's not going to be less than that.
I mean, if she's selling out tours, she's not sitting there for
Right.
$5,000. That's for sure.
But the point is, the band that I reached out to, they didn't even sell out Mulcahy's. The Mulcahy's has what, 2,000, 2,500 people. So again, you do a little bit of math as to what the tickets cost, what the sellout price would be. A standard rate. The bands get paid about half the gate. The other half goes to the venue. And so that's how I calculated my offer, for this. And it was ignored. I did it for a few bands and was ignored. So it's very interesting. The new politics of this new market. I am definitely interested in getting bands on board to do signings. I think it's untapped potential. I think there's potentially huge money in it. I think there's a huge demand. There's a huge demand. When Looney Tunes announces anyone at that store, there are people who line up around the block for it.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, on a personal level, I'd be more excited by the rappers, but I mean, band, rapper, blues singer, anyone that has some sort of notoriety, I think there's definite potential there, and I'd be excited to explore it. I hope this overture by Premier gets it on other people's radar, that maybe it's not so shameful. I mean, you have Avril selling out a tour doing one. The usual slugs crawling through Mulcahy's should be a little more eager to respond, hopefully.
I think, though, there's still that stigma against doing it. Charging for your autograph is gauche. It's bougie. That's kind of, that was the prevailing attitude by a lot of these guys. They wouldn't charge. They would only go do it for free as part of a promotion. So, but that's why it's really hard to get a lot of these pieces that you want to get. So it's interesting. What else is on the list? Oh, there was some stuff on social media. We'll combine these two because it's kind of the same thing. Both Mark Hamill and Livvy Dunne. Those are two names you would never imagine to see, like, juxtaposed.
That's a weird sentence.
Yeah, Mark Hamill and Livvy Dunne. Both had videos go somewhat viral. I think Livvy's actually went more viral because hers had like millions of views on TikTok and stuff. But they both had videos go viral this week, complaining about people hunting for autographs in public. And it's funny because the public public response to both of them was very different. And I want to see if you got the same impression as I did. My impression was that people were pretty sympathetic to Mark Hamill. The idea was that it's only dealers who go after him, that he gets harassed endlessly, blah blah blah. And the response to Livvy Dunne was pretty hostile. Who are you? You should be thankful that people are asking for you anyway. Which I thought was interesting. Was that your experience in looking at the replies?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I guess I kind of see the difference because, like, I get Livvy Dunne's an athlete of sorts. But I think at this point her main focus is content creating. This is like, that's what she does. Mark Hamill is not putting up videos sort of documenting his every movement like the content creators are doing. So I guess it seems also, I don't imagine a Livvy Dunne autograph is really yielding you a tremendous return. I feel like from knowing a lot of these street graphers and stuff, there's probably almost more desire for a selfie or a photo op with her than it would be the autograph. But yeah, I mean, you could also then look at it on the other hand and say that it's sexist, that the female is her concern is regarded differently by the internet. And there's definitely part of that. We see that with different news stories and different situations where there's a difference in how the sexes are treated. But yeah, I mean, the point remains, and on a marked out collectibles official marketplace level, we always have sort of the same debate back and forth, which to me, it's always entertaining regardless, where there's some people that say it's the price of fame, and then there's others that say it's this weird, crazy behavior. And I personally am of the belief that both of those are kind of true. Like, if you are stalking celebrities in an airport or a hotel, that's not normal. Like, you have to be aware of that. I've done it. I'm sure there'll be a time in my life I do it again for the right, situation. But you have to be aware it's not normal. There's no way to spin it that it is. It's not. And it's also, you can't go on social media, to me as a content creator, and throw your hands up that people want your autograph, because maybe try to move a little stealthier, and perhaps you'll avoid a couple of the hounds.
I don't know. I think it's a little bit different though, because Mark Hamill lived through Beatlemania, right? He saw the Beatles get harassed and tortured in public by gigantic crowds, and Michael Jackson, the same thing happened. And in that era there was a certain for lack of a better word, expectation, or there was a I guess the price of fame, as you put it. But with the Livvy Dunne thing is a little bit different, because she's a Gen Zer. She's grown up in the era of the internet, where internet fame trumps everything else. So it is the thing that every kid from that generation craves. And I'm not sure that she necessarily equates being famous on the internet with people wanting to be near you in real life. I think there's a genuine disconnect in the generations in that way. Gen Xers, even boomers, millennials understand there's a connection between the two. I'm not sure Gen Z necessarily does, because it was very clear watching her video that she was genuinely worried, like, why are these men following me? Like, Mark Hamill knows exactly why these men are following him, right? They want to make money off of him. She didn't really understand that those men are following her to make money off her. She really didn't. She thought that, like, they were trying to attack her or be whatever. And there's sort of a completely different understanding of what's going on here. I also thought it was really funny when Mark Hamill said, like, I'll be happy to take a selfie. I would much rather take a selfie than sign up. When was the last time Mark Hamill took a selfie in public?
Last time I could think of was NYCC behind Hammerstein Ballroom, like 7 years ago. That's the last one I saw.
Oh, you got one?
No, I paid for it that weekend, but like people got him. He did like a show at Hammerstein during the weekend. It was like a panel / show or whatever, and he did a bunch outside selfies.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear you, and I think you're largely right, as sad as that is to say about the generational divide. But I don't know. I don't think she's that stupid. She's done convention. She did Fanatics Fest. She has to understand that people want to meet her. She has to understand that, I don't think you typically encounter in an airport a gang of rapists carrying cardboard with 8x10s glued onto them. I think her whole "what are you doing? Why are you following me?" was a little bit of an act for the video and to create sympathy. You know why. Come on. Maybe you don't know they're going to sell them, but they're going to take them and hang them and sniff them or whatever they're going to do. But they want your autograph. I don't think anyone's getting raped in an airport by a gang of 8 people carrying cameras and items. So I don't buy that. But I think you're right. I think to a lot of the Gen Zers, they feel like they could get all the clout they want on the internet and then have sort of a more unbothered real life. I think that's very true, but I don't buy the other stuff.
Very fair. That's very fair. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and make sure to leave us a rating and or a review. You can leave both a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify, or you can leave a comment, thumbs up or thumbs down on YouTube, and all engagement is highly encouraged. So we got so many reports this week that we decided
engagement.
I know that we decided to break off, just kind of split the format of the show a little bit differently and do reports in the second half. So I guess where do we want to start? We're going to start out of order from time. We basically kind of tried to organize them thematically. So the thing that I think we're going to start with first was the thing that was most recently reported, I believe, was Dolph Lundgren doing some kind of vodka tour. Did you even know this tour was happening?
I did. I didn't send it to you because I knew you would be either in the air or in Old Salt Lake, so I knew you weren't going to do it. And honestly, I wasn't confident he would do extras. I didn't want to do it. I sent it to Ira, and we got a report from our very own Jabroni Josh, that guy who meets basically everybody. He has like 7 different Instagram accounts that deal with celebrities and wrestling and everything. He's always out there doing something. He attended, and Dolph hit his extra. Dolph did a nice standing photo. Someone else I saw posted a report elsewhere. I don't want to get too deep into it because it wasn't posted with us, so it's not mine to share. But he bought like numerous bottles, I think, and Dolph did like multiple gloves. Dolph did 11 by 14s. I know Josh got a sick. It looked like an original Rocky poster because it had the folds and everything in it.
I saw that.
He got that done with a quote and paint. It looked like a top-notch event for honestly like $40 per bottle. It was something like that. It wasn't super pricey. I regret not going.
Yeah, it looked like Dolph did it right. But again, it's one of those interesting things. Like what you go to a con, Dolph was like $80, and meanwhile you go for his like bottle signing for his vodka, and it's $40, and you get all this stuff, and it's how much is he being paid by this vodka company? Like Lord knows, it's not as much as people think it is. This stuff is weird for me. The economics of it still are confusing, but look, God bless. Looks like it was a very, very, very highly successful one. And if they do other ones based on the experiences, it looks like it's a good time.
Okay. And then next up we had from the convention, the Star Trek Long Island Con. Zach with a C was out and about, and he did not go for the Star Trek names.
There's not a single Star Trek name to be found in his report.
No, and I love it. He went for the Seinfeld names that were at this event.
It was pretty cool. I mean, I haven't seen the guy who played like the Johnny Cochran type guy from Seinfeld in forever.
Yeah, honestly, I knew they were appearing, but I did not. I forgot it was that weekend, and by the time I saw his report, I could have made a Sunday morning trip. But with these small cons, even big cons sometimes, these Sundays are always a little dicey. So I didn't go. Hopefully they do another. It was very cool, and he posted a wall. He has an entire wall in his house with like all Seinfeld stuff. He has like different photos signed by the people from like the little one-offs and stuff, like Tobin Bell. I see Geraldo. It's actually a really sick collection. I would imagine it's got to be one of the more complete ones in existence because this is I haven't seen anyone else do this. It's pretty damn cool.
I mean, and with a show like Seinfeld, where there's an almost limitless number of guest spots, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can go nuts.
It's fun though. I wonder if he sent something in for Cranston to get some Watley merch done.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Zach, if you did anything for Cranston, just drop it as a report. I'd love to see some Tim Watley autographs.
So what else we have? Martine continuing to rack, and he had a bunch of repeat meets, but he also met Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth. I love how Martine and I are on the same wavelength music wise, where he's getting all these music names that are just, I'm not gonna say they're hard to get, but they're just not as common. Because then you got to basically follow people to the airport or the hotel, and in an area where if he's in a prime spot where if people coming through Chile, they're staying in that one spot, it's easy for me. It's very hard to keep track of where these people are going and staying, and also around the U.S. a lot of these people are not flying, especially the tier that I'm looking at of talent, the caliber of talent. I'm looking at people who are driving from town to town, not flying from town to town.
So we got to send you down to Chile.
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it is.
Mark out collectibles live from Chile. That might be the move.
Yeah, I'm not opposed necessarily. But always good stuff from our team. And then so we were waiting for the reports to roll in from Fan Expo Dallas because everyone wanted to see exactly what Mr. T would be like, and we had a few reports.
We did. We absolutely did. Let's start with Vinny, who dropped it in our Facebook group. And he had, as always, a great assortment of stories and tidbits and just information. By all means, read it. I think it actually is nearing 11,000 hits. I mean, he wasn't threatened to be assaulted or called a little rat, but
where's the fun in that?
He's going some degree of viral with that. So awesome report by Vinny. His The interaction that we are going to focus on for the show was his little back and forth with the lady running the Stephen Amell table. And I know I commented, I don't know, lately in my older years, I try to see things more from the other side of the table. And I was commenting about that as right as he was. I understand that in some cases you really do have to limit table ops to have any chance of getting that line moving. And I know when we talked off air, you seemed a little more unforgiving about the foolish person running the table than I was.
I mean, I think you're dealing with a total idiot. In this case, there are lots of reasons why someone might not want to do table photos, but it should be the table. If you have a person who is so popular, whose lines are so long that you can't do table photos, then you better have an organized machine behind that table to get people through the line. And from what Vinny was describing, the person taking the money was just overall slow and inept. And I believe it. I've seen it happen where I was standing waiting while the person, behind the line was like fumbling around with things and not really didn't really have a strong grasp on how to run a retail operation.
Yeah, I completely understand that. But I think what we're not I'm sure you're realizing it, but you really don't care, which is fair. They don't realize they're slow. They think they're going absolutely as fast as possible. And to them, they just want to limit what they have to limit and keep it moving. But obviously, we've seen it. I'm sure Vinny's encounter was every bit of as disorganized and slow as many we've lived. And it wasn't. It was cumbersome. And he was sitting there apparently just twiddling his thumbs while she's processing things. So they absolutely could have done table ops by the sounds of it. But though that's always frustrating. And I believe he had to go the other day then to get the pro op, which is never fun.
And he described the autograph line as being between 20 or 30 people. That is not a long line.
No, Stephen Amell has not been a no photo at the table guy since like peak Heroes and Villains Walker Stalker days. That time has come and gone. No one cares about heels. No one cares about
Heels has been off
anymore.
the air for a few years already.
Yeah. I mean, no one cares about any of his properties. And I like Stephen Amell, but I mean, no one cares. Like, he's not a guy you can't allow table photos with. That's not who he is anymore. Norman Reedus could hit the East Coast again tomorrow, and he's still that guy. Like, Amell is not that guy anymore. He does not draw like that, and it was obviously a bad idea and bad execution at the table down in Dallas.
So then Greg had his report, and he posted it to the board. Yeah, not on Facebook. And his big takeaway was discussing the VIP situation at Fan Expo, which is funny because in Philly this was just not an issue. So I don't know why the VIP situation in Dallas was handled differently.
I mean, I don't think it was handled differently. It was an issue with the autograph line. That's sort of what happened with Mel. I was on that line, and I was like 9 back from the front, and I probably ended up going like 70th or whatever through because you kept having VIPs. They kept pulling groups of like 10 VIPs, 10 VIPs, 10 VIPs. So it was kind of a problem. The pro ops seemed to move very, very, very quick. Apparently, Mr. T was doing more interacting on the photo op line than typically is done. So that might be what the issue was, that it just moved slower. So it was more apparent that the VIPs were building up. I'm not sure. But yeah, he had to make the marked out executive decision of sort of blending in with the VIPs to make his flight. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to miss your flight to play by the rules?
Yeah, the answer, of course, is no. You don't play by the rules and miss a flight. You figure out a way to do it. And it's my understanding that from just looking at the pictures and everyone reports that Mr. T was having a good time. So I'm not sure I believe the hype that this is his only con.
No. I think we will be at Fan Expo Philly next year with Mr. T. That, I know it's not bold prediction season yet, but here it is. I'll probably forget it by the time I got to make them at the new year. But
out of curiosity, when we get to the end of the year, are we going to look back at the bold predictions and see which ones came true and which ones didn't?
We are. It's time for public shaming will commence. So I was also thinking, just to throw this out there, I don't even know. I'm going to tell you for the first time now on air, and I don't even know what this would look like or how we would do it. But I would love to do on the Facebook group. I think our Facebook group is popping enough right now that we could attempt some form of a year-end awards where we would sort of gather like photo ops and different things and have like a poll. I'm not sure if people want to be judged publicly in 2025, but I mean, I think we could do a poll and have people vote on like the photo op of the year, the street meet of the year.
It's funny because I remember when we were doing that on the board. I vividly remember this. I wanted to get some guys from the Howard Stern show, but to get those guys going into work, you had to get out at 3:00 in the morning because the show would start at 5 or 6 when they would do their pre-production, and they would come into work around 3:00. You had to wait that early. So one time I was in the city, I was out there at 3:00 in the morning, and I got like Benji and Sal. A few guys, but I mean, there were selfies taken at 3 a.m. So it was dark, so there was a certain amount of graininess and darkness to the photos, but no one else had shots with Benji and Sal and stuff, and those shots that I got were nominated for worst photo of the year, and I actually, as deranged as this sounds, I was like. My feelings were a little bit hurt. I was like, you know what, screw you. Like, I got it and you didn't, but it was the only chance to get it is 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're dark, but like whatever.
I don't think worst photo of the year is going to work. I don't think we could be like, hey, Ryan from Rochester, that photo you sent in to us 6 months ago was complete dog shit. So now we're going to drag you publicly. Like, we can't do that.
And that only kind of worked in the context of the board when everyone knew each other and rip on each other and stuff.
So I think we have to I think there may be 5 to 6 very positive categories that we could maybe do. But honestly, even thinking about what the burden of work would be of doing your due diligence and research and
even the problem with it though is that it's not in the era of the old days when people would have unique stuff. Like you can't have a Mr. T photo winning anything because so many people have it. So how could someone's Mr. T?
Maybe one of them pinched Mr. T's ass cheek or something and got an extra smile out of him or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it becomes weird like that. We have to really think through what really think through carefully what the categories would be to minimize stuff like that. I think there's a way to do it.
Yeah, and we're having, and if you're wondering why you're listening in on this conversation, it's because as a community, I want us all to sort of take part in this. So I may end up opening a thread at some point about what would a year-end award look like? What would you guys like to see? And see if we could sort of come up with a way that it's streamlined. It's not going to be crazy hard to compile everything. And like you said, that you would kind of avoid, which Mr. T out of the 8 Mr. T photos is the best Mr. T photo. That's
right, because they're all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, if someone did a cosplay as Roddy Piper, that might be a better one,
Yeah, agreed. As long as it wasn't a Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown cosplay to meet Mr. T, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, that would be totally out of context.
Absolutely. And we got a report from someone on the board. We got a board report that followed Greg's board report from Junkie Jeff. And Junkie Jeff had some awesome vintage merch signed by Mr. T. He had a WrestleMania 2 press photo that was glossy. I know nothing of promos. I'm assuming, and it looks real to me. Any promo experts out there, if somehow it's not, I apologize, but in my estimation, it's real. It looks awesome. He also had a original Mr. T Quaker cereal box that got signed, and that looked awesome. I don't remember where he was from, Junkie Jeff, but I mean, I can't imagine he flew with that box. So I'm assuming he was a drive from Dallas because you can't throw that in a carry-on bag. Maybe you could actually, but it's got to be pretty damn delicate.
Yeah, so pretty sick stuff.
Yeah.
And then Greg 2600 also hit Creation Con, which he's a braver man than I.
He's a braver man than you, but I think he hates creation every bit as much as you do. And the people he needed were doing selfies. But I believe he's been. I always enjoy when you sort of see Greg's like when he rips people and you just you're scrolling your feed, you see Greg commenting on a random video from an agent ripping cons, and I always love seeing it. So he was flipping out. I think they did something where they didn't announce these guys were doing selfies while admission was still available. So he had to scramble, get creative, all those things to manage to pull this off. But that's creation in a nutshell. It's really only laid out well and clear for the people that want to spend 2 days, maybe 3 days there.
And thousands of dollars. Thousands.
Living that entire moment. Some people go on regular vacations. Some people go on Jera cruises. Some people go to picturesque New Jersey for 3 days, spend thousands of dollars to sit in a sweaty hotel like ballroom and watch the Supernatural guys, or in this case, the Cobra Kai guys, tell the same stories that you probably heard last year for thousands of dollars. But listen, I'm spending $1,400 on Ice Cube, so who am I to judge? But Greg got done what he needed to get done. Great job, Greg. Hopefully I don't have to go to a Creation Con anytime soon.
Then Zach Linder also, he did Niagara Falls Comic Con. He's actually going international for a show. That was in Canada. A couple interesting things to note. I mean, Warwick Davis was his pretty standard self. I think he's gotten a little bit less friendly over the years. Yeah, I remember meeting him in the mid to late 2000s, maybe like 2008, 2009, like that ballpark. He was like over the top nice, super cool, the whole deal. I'm not saying he's not nice, but he's definitely not as engaging now as he was.
You're saying his patience is getting a little shorter with time,
in a manner of speaking. Yeah. I think, he's had a rough year, right? So I get it, but
I did kind of chuckle at them trying to drag Zach on the cash conversion. Like that was a like wrestling level Carney move right there.
Yeah. No, I get it because for some, look, the problem is Warwick Davis isn't he's not American, right? He's British. So I imagine for him dealing with conversion is annoying. For someone like David Yost, who is American, giving him US dollars, who cares? It doesn't matter. So I think it really is a matter of convenience for some of these people. And I understand that. Look, the problem is though, in this day and age, to not accept credit cards, now you're really limiting people's abilities. And that's kind of what happened. Was he goes to the show thinking he's going to pay with credit cards, and people are only taking Canadian cash. It creates
and like we've gotten into it, we know why people want cash. It's obvious, but I mean, you can't. We prefer cash, but you can swipe and tap and anything you want with us. I mean, if we could get one of those tappers, those scanners, like implanted surgically into our palm, we would. Like we'll take any form of payment. Hell, we'll even take Canadian dollars if it's the only
if that's
option.
What you've got, I'll figure it out. Sure. But also the interesting part of his so he met Warwick Davis, he met David Yost. That's why I use that name as an example. He used the Steiner brothers. And the Steiner brothers, he met the Steiner brothers, he didn't use them. And what's interesting about the Steiner brothers was that they really, really have been influenced by Tony Hunter, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Scott was never really a very fan-friendly guy. So, I mean, I don't think it took much arm bending from Tony Hunter to convince him that he could shake the marks out for a couple extra Canadian dollars.
But yeah, I mean, it seemed that Scott had a sliding scale of pricing that was changing all weekend. He was deciding willy-nilly what he considered premium items to be, and the price for those was apparently it shifted anywhere from $80 to $100 to $120 per. And like this is a part of the hobby that makes me shake my head. If you're paying $120 for Scott Steiner, I mean that Scott Steiner was a super ticket guest. The extras were $20. I mean, the idea that he is now $120 an item is ludicrous to me, and it's something that would prevent me from paying it.
I mean, listen, it's ludicrous, but that's also what happens when you move up the conga line, thanks to death. Like all of a sudden now, Scott Steiner and Rick Steiner are a little bit more on the elite scale of who's alive from that golden era, and it's a little disturbing for me because I mean, at some point, I kind of would have liked to get the Gloob and the Hasbro's done, but am I going to buy them for several $100s and then walk up to a Tony Hunter Steiner table and probably drop another, $500 on the autographs? You're talking what, $1,400 total? Another Ice Cube meet and greet to get, the the figures from eBay and then get them signed. That's crazy.
It's
So I don't
not
know what
worth
I'm
it. Yeah.
and
Well, I do know your probably not going to do it.
yeah, I mean, I made a comment that I always like. Ken doesn't really play the whole premium pricing game. So what I typically do, and with these guys like Scott Steiner that was pounding steroids back in the day, like a lot of us will have bottles of water. God knows how much time he has left, so it's dangerous. But I always kind of wait for Ken to bring these people in because you sort of get around a lot of the premium pricing. That's when I got my last of my Ron Simmons stuff done when Ken had him. Because you're not dealing with all that crap. You make a deal that's flat out, and that's the deal. But yeah, I mean, great job by Vinny on that level. And then he also pointed out the autograph stickers. I know that definitely got.
That was Zach. Zach, not Vinny.
Oh, Zach. Yes. Jesus, what's wrong with me? Zach Linder. Sorry.
Yeah, the autograph sticker is really funny. So I think it was a Robert Englund item, right? That was the issue.
Yep, that old comic book.
Yeah, he had I guess he had advised the guy to get CGC to witness the autograph, and then somehow that turned into some other nitwit butting in and convincing the guy to get a worthless hologram from the show itself on the item. It's pretty devastating. It's something that only a marked out person would understand.
Yes.
Or someone in the hobby really intensively would understand. Like they could the shows coming up with their own stickers is just another way of like killing me inside a little bit. Like yeah. I hate paying any of the TPAs. I hate paying any of them. But at least there's a logic. They keep a database. There's a certain, nationwide industry standard stuff going on. As much as we have criticized them rightfully and how, and all the issues there's still some degree of standardization. And these shows doing their own stickers, whether it's Steel City or Monster Mania or now Icon Autographs, whoever the heck that is. I wouldn't touch them. And I mean, I know my brother was telling me that a lot of the people at 90s Con had their own stickers too, and I wouldn't touch any of them. any.
Listen, have you ever held in a sneeze?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 minutes now of not making a joke about a certain worthless hologram sticker that we've seen out there. But I'm turning over a new leaf. We're trying to be more positive here. So I'm not making it, but I'm holding in that damn sneeze. It's hard.
And so the last thing is you kind of, I don't know what spurred this on, but you kind of introduced kind of a new thing on the board. I really, the Facebook group. I really like it, and I couldn't participate in it because I'm gonna be honest, Facebook sucks, man. And like what I wanted to do, I wanted to put a picture of mine to participate in Photo Op Fridays, and Facebook doesn't let you copy a picture and paste it into a message. You have to save it and then re-upload it. And I didn't want to go through. I have thousands and thousands of pictures, and
save it and re-comment it. Yeah,
it was such a pain in the neck. And then when I did, I was like, you know what? I found the picture and I never posted it because I never saved it and it was such a pain.
Well, look on the bright side. You can do it next week because
I will do it next week. Let's keep it going. Photo Op Fridays.
We got Zach Linder posting a photo of himself swimming around. He was splashing with Flipper in the water. I don't even know how that's possible, but that was pretty damn cool. A lot of really cool photos. Lucas posted his, that's been going back to the board days, but like probably of all the photos he has, that's probably the one I'd say I'm like the most envious of, the Eddie Murphy shot. Just a lot of cool stuff. If you didn't see it, go give it a look. Give the pics you like a like, and get your stuff ready for next week. I want to keep this going. It's fun. I resisted the urge, much like my sneeze from before with the stickers. I held back the sneeze of wanting to do Photo with Fridays and spell photo with an F to go with the Friday theme, and then I realized that was just douchey and weird, and I didn't. I just went with the sound over the look. But yeah,
should I dig out my photo with the Foley family?
Oh crap! You have to. You absolutely have.
I gotta find it. But yeah, I'll do that for next Friday. You gotta remind me beforehand so I can actually find it and put it. I have to go through my Facebook photos. I was realizing there have been so many photos I've never uploaded to Facebook at all. I have them. I took them. I just never uploaded them for whatever reason. I just forgot. So I have my collection on Facebook is really inadequate. It's incomplete. So I have to go work on that.
Well, listen, here's the deal, and this is something that we have to actually. I'm going to throw this out there right now as a future topic that I would like to address. We've talked about what we do with our physical collection, but very little about what we do with our digital collection. What do we do with our photo ops? How do we upload them? How do we organize them? Where do we keep them for safety? All of that, I think, is very interesting. We've never touched on it. And you are one of those people that I used to be like this, where you lock yourself into these like things where you have different folders and different categories, and you put Mel in a crazy category because of Danny Glover, and it's like the whole thing is mind blowing. So I'm going to put that on the document right now for a future episode. I want to get into how we store and display and sort of share digital photos.
Yeah. We did have that discussion at one point about what the value is of a digital photo, and it is still a fascinating thing. So it's definitely
there's people out there. I think it happened to our marked out one of the marked out mascots over the years, Jeremiah, where his computer died. God knows what happened to it, and he didn't have stuff backed up properly. So I think for a lot of his photos, all he really has are Facebook saves, which that's not if you are a lunatic with quality, that's not going to cut it. So
no,
we will get into
the answer is probably Google Drive, truthfully, but
yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
And we also have another topic that was suggested to us about buying autographs with personalizations, which is very interesting.
Definitely something we'll get into in the future. Yeah,
this episode was just too loaded, but we heard it, we recorded it, and we will do it at some point very soon. So stay tuned.
So if you're shopping for autographs, be sure to check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised in episodes of Marked Out Radio, please reach out to us today, markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. So we do have a bunch of signings we can announce. Oh, no, not before. I skipped the spot. We have to talk about what's upcoming for us. So we today actually have a bunch of signings taking place with various WWE ID talent. We have signings today with Cappuccino and with Sean Legacy and a bunch of others that have not been publicly announced that we'll reveal and deal with in the future.
And we're even staying for the show, which that's Marked Out doesn't do that usually. But I mean, we got to see our guys.
No promises on my end, but we'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. We'll see. But what else is coming up? I mean, WrestleCon. I want to hype it more. The show. The lineup keeps growing, keeps improving. They just announced the Great Muta is going to be there. We have some additional guests to announce for WrestleCon, so we actually made some slight tweaks to our times. So now the 4 WWE ID talents, which will be Ricky and Brad Swipe Right, they'll be on Saturday from 10 to 12. Is that right?
That is correct.
And then brand new first ever WWE Evolve champion Jackson Drake and one of his rivals, Sean Legacy, will be there from 12 to 2 on Saturday. And word has it that the champ will have his belt, and we will have confirmation of that in the future 100%, but I'm pretty confident he will.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. I will text him repeatedly. I will tell him face to face tonight that we want him to have the belt. I think he'll want to have the belt. I mean, that's freaking awesome that you're the WWE Evolve champion, the first one ever. Why wouldn't you want that belt at the appearance? And listen, that was the big match right there that decided. They were the final 2. So, I mean, if I was a collector, solely a collector, I mean, I'd be tempted to do solos and a group. I mean, talk about as Evolve grows. I mean, if you had the match that decided the first NXT champion as a group shot, that's pretty damn cool. So I'm excited about it, as I've been excited about it. Honestly, these 4 guys being on NXT this week, I never expected exactly this quick. I thought this was all going to be a thing of meet them now, get them now. You'll thank us later, but like, no, you'll thank us now. Like, forget later.
I truly did not think we would be doing con appearances with these guys. In fact, that was not part of our original calculus at all.
No,
it just wasn't. The point was to get inventory and hold it.
Yeah, my feeling was they would not necessarily work on a con appearance level while we were able to do it. I thought they'd be locked away in WWE before, by that time. But it just turned out that we were able and they were big enough, and damn, it's a fun ride.
And so you've heard it here. We have locked in to Steel City Con in August. So hopefully, they continue to add people we like as opposed to people we don't need.
And if they don't, may the kids of Jurassic Park and Amy Smart cancel.
Before we buy anything.
Yes.
Before we buy anything, not after. Please don't cancel after. All right.
Oh,
and then as far as...
We didn't even mention our Friday lineup for
WrestleCon. Because I was going to do that for the signing announcements.
Oh, true. Okay, let's roll.
So we have some, of course, signings coming up. We now, because we moved our Swipe Right boys from Friday to Saturday, we had availability at our table at WrestleCon on Friday. So we will have, let's get the times right because I'm going to forget. From the first one is what time?
The first one for Friday you were talking about?
Yeah, 2 to 4?
2 p.m. to 4 p.m., yes.
So from 2 to 4, we have Diamond Virago and Tiara James. Is that right?
That is correct.
And then from 4 to 6, we have Emily J. And then another guest to be announced that we have not 100% firmed up yet. So we went from we're not doing cons for a while to now we have potentially 8 guests at this con.
Possibly 9.
Possibly 9.
Depending on when I hear back. I mean listen.
How this happened.
We have a super ticket basically right now.
We're like blasting at this. This bringing in all these people. It just happened the way it happened. There's no other way to say it. It just happened the way it happened. So yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great time. So Saturday is going to be insane with these 4 guys coming in. It's going to be insane. Friday with these girls. I mean, these girls are fantastic too. So I'm pretty pumped. What else do we have? We will be able to shortly announce that we will be doing a private signing that weekend with Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I actually met Okada and I got an autograph and a photo op back when he was a young boy rookie. He was visiting. He came to New York as part of that the New Japan show they did in New York City years and years and years ago. You would not. He looks nothing alike. You wouldn't recognize him at all. It would not at all, the photo. So I'm excited to update that. And Ospreay I never met. Have you ever met Ospreay?
I've met neither one. So on a collector level, I absolutely need them. And I mean, they don't do many signings. They don't. They're not cheap as far as bringing them in. They're busy. They work Saturdays a lot of times, which is when a lot of these cons run. Yeah, it's pretty big. I'm excited to have the private signing. I'm still working on our metallic designs for both of them. It's one of those things where we have so many irons in the fire right now, and I obviously have a day job, and you have a day job, and I think things are a little slower to be announced at this point because we have so many things to do. But I'm working on it. Sometime this week, we will have the order pages up. We'll have the print options, or at least the first round of print options available. And I would absolutely jump on this because I wouldn't hold my breath that we will be working with Ospreay and Okada again.
It's true. This is probably a one and done kind of situation on multiple levels. And then once again, to reiterate, we also have Mike Tyson private signing, but that's not until November. But still, you want to lock in? We're more than happy to lock in for you because we're not going to have that many spots for it.
Yes, and then obviously if you're listening to this episode, you missed our first signing with Sean Legacy. So if your order was not placed prior to the first signing and you want to, first of all, we're going to be dropping some product this week, you will see it on Facebook, on eBay, on all over the place, on our homepage. But we will also have different prints and the ability to get the current prints personalized and inscribed. We never guarantee those things. If these ID guys are cool, I don't see any real problem with getting that done. So there's another chance you have until August WrestleCon to get orders in for Sean Legacy. So, don't miss out. This guy, we saw that little tweet that went out yesterday where it was announced that Sean Legacy listed AJ Styles as a dream opponent, and AJ Styles said, let's do it. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if they put that together at some point where AJ comes down to NXT for a match, and it's, that match happens. So you want Legacy. You want all these guys and girls. You want them. Cappuccino, we got, we'll have stock dropping. And then we have coming up in about a month, we have Zeta Steele, Marcus Mathers, Jackson Drake, Smiley Kylie Ray, and Emily J. Private. So check out what we have. I'm not going to give you the dates because there's too many different dates, but each listing has its date. So check out what you need and get the orders in before they close.
This is a mouthful, this one. This is a long episode.
Yeah, for sure. And next week's going to be probably just as long. We got to talk about what's happening today, and we got Fanatics. The Fanatics hype. It's finally here. Yeah,
we finally can admit the damage for Fanatics.
I haven't even admitted that to myself, but yeah. I'll do it live on the air.
So yeah, we actually gotta jump off now because we gotta get ready for our stuff in a couple hours.
Yeah.
So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
I'm Dana.
And we'll see you next week as we count down to 1 year of Marked Out Radio.